Hello kids, I'm so excited to be with you today. In today's class, we are going to be looking at disease. We are going to be talking about diseases. The first thing we'll be looking at we'll be looking at the meaning of disease. It's a common language, and I know we have idea about this topic. A disease is a discomfort or problem in the body which makes a person sick or ill. A disease is a situation in somebody's body whereby the person is not fine, the person is sick. Normal body functions are affected. That is, those body cells, some body parts of our body are being affected. When some body parts of our body are affected, that means the person is not what? Fine. That is where we now regard that person as being what? Sick. So a disease is a discomfort. You are not okay. Your body system are not functioning well. That means there is something wrong with some part of our body. Every disease has its way of showing in the body. Sometimes the sickness may come out in a way that it will be so obvious. When somebody sees you, the person will be able to tell that this girl or this boy is suffering from one disease or the other. Why sometimes you don't see the symptom, they call it signs or symptoms. Sometimes the symptoms, you don't notice it early. But for those persons that are very observant, that take very good care of their body, they watch their body very well. If anything is happening to their body system, they must see the signs. The symptoms must be there. They will be able to tell you that the way my body is like I'm feeling this, is like I'm feeling that. So at times, the sickness may not show on time, but most times there are signs and there are symptoms to tell that there is one disease or the other that is affecting our body. For example, a person suffering from malaria, that person may start having cold. In some cases, you see the person may start vomiting, or you just see the person may be feeling what? Feverish. That is to show those are some of the signs, or those are some of the symptoms for what? Malaria. So if someone is passing through any kind of diseases, there must be symptoms. So as individuals, we have to pay attention to the signs that our body are giving to us at any given time. So what we're going to be looking at is types of disease. There are two main types of disease. The first one, we have the communicable disease and the non-communicable disease. So we are going to be talking about communicable disease. When we talk about communicable disease, communicable disease are those diseases that can be spread from one person to another. You can contact it. That's what it means. From one person, if someone has that disease and you get in contact with that person through your breathing, you can contact it. Then through drinking, through wounds, you can contact these diseases. That is why they call it what? Communicable. It can move from one person. It's transferable from A to B if not avoided. And examples of this communicable disease are cholera, tuberculosis. This tuberculosis, these are some of the examples of communicable disease. Tuberculosis comes from cough, all this out that you now see the person will be coughing out blood. Cholera, diarrhea, these are examples of communicable disease. Then you will have HIV, AIDS. These are examples of communicable disease. Catarrh, conjunctivitis, which the normal local way they call it Apollo. These are examples of communicable disease. So anybody that has these diseases is expected to stay far from other persons. That is why in school, if someone has conjunctivitis, if a kid is suffering from Apollo or anyone is suffering from Apollo, they don't allow the child to come into the school environment. Why? Because it's a communicable disease. It can easily spread from one person to another. So when someone has these diseases, the person should be far from other people. Take proper medication until he or she is okay. Then the next one we'll be looking at is non-communicable disease. When they say non, it's very explanatory. It means it cannot be transferred. It's a disease that develop within the body. It's a disease that develop within the body. It cannot go from A to B. Because A has cholera, me that is with A at home will not have cholera. Because A is suffering from diarrhea, is always going to the toilet, is stooling, and at the end of the day, as he's stooling, blood is coming out. Me that is with that person at home will not contact it because it's not like what? Diarrhea. So non-communicable diseases are those diseases that cannot be transferable. You cannot get it when other person has the diseases. That is why we said it does not spread from one person to another. So if someone has this illness and you are with that person, you will not contact that disease. Some people are born with this non-communicable disease. Yes, some persons are born with it, while some they develop the disease as they get older, as the person is growing, as the person is aging. These diseases might come from there. We will now be looking at some of the examples of these non-communicable diseases are we have hypertension, we have diabetes, we have madness. When you talk about diabetes, that is why I said sometimes it comes as the person is what? Aging. Diabetes is excess of sugar in the body system. Then when you talk about madness, then you talk about epilepsy. When you talk about epilepsy, madness, all these are some of the diseases. That is why I said some comes through what? Our belt. The person develop it from his body. It's just there. As the person is born, the person is having that diseases. Diseases like epilepsy is hereditary. The person is born with this sickness. Then when you talk about sickle cell, it comes, the person is born with it. The person just is born with it. It's not something that the person gets when it's 2 years or 3 years. No. Diseases like epilepsy, diseases like sickle cell, they are diseases that the person are born with. But diseases like diabetes can come as a person is aging. That is why it is not so good for us to be taking lots of what? Carbohydrate. That is lots of food that contain too much starchy food, because that is what leads to what? Diabetes. Diabetes is excess sugar. And also you have nutritional deficiency. That is lack of some nutrients. When you are always taking food that lacks a lot of nutrients, you are likely to have some diseases such as rickets, such as kwashiorkor, such as night blindness. As you can see on my screen now, you see that child is suffering from what? Kwashiorkor. When you see the person will be having big head, swollen stomach, tiny legs. Then all these diseases like this, like rickets, night blindness, kwashiorkor, are diseases that we get from lack of taking in the proper diet. Lack of not taking in good food causes all these illness. So with all these, we've been able to know about what diseases, and also we should know that diseases are something that is a discomfort and is a problem in our body when someone falls sick. And we've known now with this lesson that we can actually avoid them. So when you see someone that is suffering from a communicable disease, please stay far from that person, because it's only communicable diseases that are what? Transferable. Then also, for you to be able to prevent yourself from non-communicable diseases like diabetes, you have to what? Like kwashiorkor, you have to what? Eat healthy food. Eat food that contains the right nutrient, and with all these, you will be free from diseases. See you. Thank you. See you in our next class. Goodbye.